Towyn, formerly Tywyn, is a town and seaside resort on the Cardigan Bay coast of southern Gwynedd, Wales. It was previously in the historic county of Merionethshire. It is famous as the location of the Cadfan Stone, a stone cross with the earliest known example of written Welsh, and the home of the Talyllyn Railway. The name derives from the Welsh Towyn. Extensive sand dunes are still to be found to the north and south of the town. The place name element Towyn is found in many other parts of Wales, most notably Towyn near Abergele. The town is sometimes referred to in Welsh as Tywyn Merionethshire. In English during the late 19th century and until the middle of the 20th century, the town was sometimes called Towyn-on-Sea. With the standardization of the orthography of the Welsh language in the first part of the 20th century, the spelling Tywyn came to dominate, and was accepted as the official name of the town in both languages in the 1970s. History. Towyn was the location of the first religious community administered by the Breton St. Cadfan upon his arrival in Gwynedd, prior to his departure to found a monastery on Bardsey Island off the Llyn Peninsula. The church contains some early material. Location. The town's historic centre lies about a kilometre from the beach, around the church of St. Cadfans. In the second half of the 19th century the town expanded considerably, mainly towards the sea. To the north of the town lie the reclaimed salt marshes of Morfa Towyn and Morfa Gwyllt, beyond which lie the broad water lagoon and the mouth of the Afon Dysinni. To the northeast lie the rich farmland of Bro Dysinni and the village of Bryn Crug, and to the east the hills of Craigwybachyd and Craigfarcgoch. To the south towards Aberdyfi is the mouth of the Afon Dyffryn Gwyn and Penclin marshes. The Towyn Coastal Defence Scheme, a £7.6 million civil engineering project to provide a new rock breakwater above the low tide level, rock groins, and rock revetment to protect 80 seafront properties, was officially unveiled by Jane Davidson, the Minister for Environment, Sustainability and Housing in the Welsh Assembly Government, on the 24th of March 2011. Demography and language. At the time of the 2001 census, 40.5% of the population were recorded as Welsh speakers. By 2011 census this had decreased to 37.5%. These relatively high figures reflect the fact that both Welsh and English are used as the medium of instruction in Ysgol Pen y Bryn, the town's primary school. An Estyn inspection report in 2010 noted that about 11% of the children at the school came from homes where Welsh was the main language. The town's Welsh dialect has several notable features, with one Victorian observer stating that 3 languages were spoken there: English, Welsh and Gwynedd. During the 1860s, in the town's British school, a Welsh stick was used to punish children who were caught speaking Welsh. Yet Welsh was the dominant language in Towyn until the middle of the 20th century. Towyn is now a very anglicised town, with the majority of its population being born in England according to the 2011 UK census. Likewise, slightly more respondents claimed an English-only identity than a Welsh-only identity. Transport and tourism. The church is of interest for 2 medieval effigies, and for a stone inscribed with what is believed to be the oldest known writing in the Welsh language, dating back to the 8th century AD, and rescued from a local gateway in the 18th century. Improved transport links during the 19th century increased Tywyn's appeal as a tourist destination. During the early decades of the century, a creek of the River Dysinni allowed ships to approach the town's northern fringes, where a shipbuilding yard was to be found. The draining of the salt marsh and the channeling of the river brought this industry to an end, but during the early part of the century the town was made more accessible by building new roads along the coast to Aberdyfi and Cloyne Gwrel. The railway arrived in the mid-1860s, and had a significant effect on the town. Talyllyn Railway Station opened in 1863. The station is still open, and is served by the Cambrian line. Slate quarrying in the Aboriginal area led to the building in 1865 of the Talyllyn Railway, a narrow-gauge line designed to carry slates to Towyn. 2 stations were opened in the town. Towyn Wharf Railway Station was originally opened to enable slates to be unloaded onto a wharf adjacent to the main railway line. It is now the Talyllyn's western terminus and principal station. Pendra Railway Station was originally the passenger station, and now houses the locomotive and carriage sheds and works. Notable visitors who stayed at Towyn in the 19th century include Thomas Love Peacock, Thomas Fremantle, 1st Baron Cottesloe, Ignatius Spencer, Charles Darwin, William Morris, Elizabeth Blackwell. The beach and its extensive promenade have long been key attractions. In 1877, a pier was built at Towyn, but the structure only lasted a few months. The street called Pier Road, which leads from the town to the beach, offers a suggestion as to its location. The promenade was completed in 1889 at the cost of some £30,000, paid for by John Corbett of Tywyn. There has been extensive bungalow and caravan development in the vicinity. Other industries. Apart from tourism, agriculture has long been the most important industry in the area. Lead and copper used to be mined in the town's hinterland. The Marconi Company built a long-wave receiver station in Towyn in 1914, working in duplex with the high-power transmitter station near Wynvar. In 1921, the Towyn and Wynvar stations initiated a transatlantic wireless telegraph service with a similar RCA wireless transmitting station in New Brunswick, New Jersey, USA, and RCA's receiver station in Belmar, New Jersey. This new transatlantic service replaced Marconi's obsolete transatlantic telegraph station in Clifton, Ireland following its 1922 destruction during the Irish Civil War. For most of the 20th century, the armed forces were a significant presence in Towyn. The town was a major training ground for the amphibious warfare landings in the Second World War and had a strategic war base. Abandoned pillboxes may still be seen on the coast to the south of the town. The links with the armed forces came to an end when the Joint Service Mountain Training Center at Morpher Camp closed in 1999. Facilities and notable features. Much of the town's infrastructure was put in place by an industrialist from the English Midlands, John Corbett, who in the 1870s decided to develop the town into a major tourist resort to rival Torquay, as well as constructing a row of boarding houses and a grand esplanade. He developed the water and sewerage system. He gave land and money for a new market hall, built to celebrate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee in 1897. He paid for Brynarr Fort to be opened as Towyn Intermediate School in 1894. He refurbished the Corbett Arms Hotel, and also contributed to the Assembly Room, now Towyn Cinema. Plaques commemorating his generosity may still be seen on the north end of the promenade and on the market hall. Another commemorative plaque was on Brynarr Fort, and his portrait was hung there when the school first opened. However, the anticipated grand watering place never took off, and these additions to the town were never matched. In 1912, a drill hall was built in the Pendra area of the town for the Territorial Army. The hall, now known as Nayad Pendra, has recently been renovated, mainly with money from the National Lottery Big Lottery Fund and the Welsh Government. The hall houses a 3-manual 9-rank Wurlitzer organ which was originally installed in a cinema in Woolwich in 1937. After the First World War, money was raised to build both the Towyn Cottage Hospital and the Towyn Institute. The hospital is still in operation, but the institute is now closed. It was the location of the town's library before a new library building was built next to it in the early 1970s. The main schools in Towyn are the primary school, Ysgol Pen-y-Bryn, and the secondary school, Ysgol Uwchradd Towyn. Local places of interest include Craig-yr-Aderyn, Castell Wyber and Talyllyn Lake. Hen Dyffryn Gwyn is a Grade II listed building dating from 1640 which retains many of its original features. Religion. For many centuries, St. Cadfan's Church was the only place of worship in the town, but since the 19th century there have been several. Following the Methodist revival, the Calvinistic Methodists established a cause in Towyn at the end of the 18th century. Bethel Calvinistic Methodist Church was established in 1815. The current chapel was built in 1871 and modified in 1887. The chapel closed in early 2010 but services are still held in the vestry. Bethany Calvinistic Methodist Chapel was also built in 1871 as one of the English coast chapels that were advocated by Lewis Edwards and fiercely criticized by Emrys ap Iwan. It was opened in part with a view to attracting the increasing numbers of visitors who were coming to Towyn following the opening of the railway and who previously had been provided for only by the English services at St. Cadfan's. The noted pacifist George Maitland Lloyd Davis was minister of Bethany and also of Meathlon Chapel in nearby Meathlon between 1926 and 1930. Ebenezer was first built between 1817 and 1820, with the current building dating from 1883. John Cadfan Davies, Archdruid of Wales in 1923, was minister of Ebenezer between 1889 and 1892. Bethesda Independent Chapel was first built in 1820, enlarged in 1865 and rebuilt again in 1892. It closed in January 2010. Towyn Baptist Church was built in its present form in 1991. The Church of St. David is the town's Roman Catholic church and is part of Dolgellau Deanery. In its grounds is a sculpture of St. David in Welsh.It by John Skelton. Sport. In Samuel Lewis's A Topographical Dictionary of Wales it is reported that popular horse races were held on land to the north of the town every September. Between 1904 and 1947, Towyn Golf Club was also located on land to the north of the town. The Towyn On-Sea Club opened with a 10-hole course in 1904. In 1906, a further 8 holes were added. Attempts were made to re-establish the club following the Second World War, but these proved unsuccessful. In the past, Towyn has had a rugby union team, and it now shares a football team with neighbouring Brincrug, playing the home matches in the village of Brincrug. It also has a cricket club, Towyn, and District CC, and a hockey team known as Dysinny Hockey Club. Also based in Towyn is the Bro Dysinny Athletics Club. Notable people. See category. People from Towyn. Arthur ap Hugh, vicar of St. Cadfan's between 1555 and his death in 1570, notable patron of Welsh poets, and translator of Counter-Reformation literature into Welsh. Evan Evans, poet and scholar, was curate of St. Cadfan's between 1772 and 1777. During his time at Towyn he was the bardic teacher of David Richards from Glany Morfanir. Bryn Crug. Edward Ernest Hughes, the first professor of history at University College, Swansea, was born in Towyn, the son of a local policeman. Griffith Hughes, clergyman from the parish of Towyn, author of The Natural History of Barbados. John Ceiriog Hughes, poet, was station master at Towyn for a short period from 1870. Joseph David Jones, musician, was schoolmaster at Towyn British School from 1851 to 1855. It was at Towyn that he met his wife, Catherine Daniel of Penclin. Sir Henry Hayden Jones, MP for Merioneth, was the son of Joseph David Jones, and spent most of his life in Towyn. John Daniel Jones, the renowned Congregationalist minister, was another son of Joseph David Jones. Owen Wyn Jones, Welsh cleric, antiquary, author, and poet, died at Towyn on 4 April 1870. Arthur ap Hughes' nephew David Johns was another important figure in the Welsh Renaissance. A great-grandson of Hywel ap Yensen, he copied an important manuscript of Tywyn, which includes several poems to the Ynys family. Later additions to this manuscript contain several 18th-century Welsh poems, some of which relate to the Owen and Corbett family of Ynys and of the Reverend Edward Morgan. Edward Morgan, a native of Llangelynnon, was vicar of St Cadfans from 1717. He was educated at Jesus College, Oxford, corresponded with Lewis Morris, and was one of the 18th-century owners of David Johns's manuscript. His brother John Morgan composed an elegy to Vincent Corbett of Ynys In 1826, Edward Jones of Towyn published Marwolaethable, a Welsh translation of Der Todables by the Swiss poet Solomon Gessner. Since around 1860, the Anwyl of Towyn family have lived outside the town at Tymhower. Their ancestral home was at Park near Penrhyn-de-Dry. The Anwyls are direct male line descendants of Rhodri ab Owain Gwynedd, and as such are members of the House of Aberfraw and represent a surviving fragment of medieval Welsh royalty.